Not to bring up bad topics, but I do remember, our last game, regular season game, one of the most penalized teams in the country had no flags thrown on them with SEC officials. But, those things happen. Not to bring up bad topics, but I do remember, our last game, regular season game, one of the most penalized teams in the country had no flags thrown on them with SEC officials. But, those things happen.
The kids are down. Wife's asleep.
So in 4 hours, you drank 15 Busch Lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at 8 o'clock, that's when you checked out and your wife had to deal with you.
Night time.
Night time.
Yeah.
Crack a beer. Pour a bourbon. It's After Dark. On ESPN Louisville Plus. Subscribe and smash that freaking like button. Now here's Justin Sofero.
Sofero. How do you
Sofero.
say Sofero? No, it's fur. It's fur, not four. That's why it's fur, man.
Sofero.
There you go.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Sofero. I don't know. Sofero? Sephoro, my bad. No, Sofero.
Here's Justin Sofero.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back in to another edition of ESPN Louisville Plus After Dark. I'm your host, Justin Sofro, and of course, my light's losing its shit already. Once again, I don't know what's going on. It's on the fritz. But anyway, joining me today, as always, my guy, co-host Dwight Young from the Now We Can Talk Like Men podcast. If you may have seen it about a year ago, I'm just going to keep referring to it, maybe just in case, because I'm just trying to keep that dream alive. But anyway, what's up, Dwight? How you doing, my guy? Uh-oh, you're muted. Are you muted in your side? You might be muted.
I'm muted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yep.
I was just going to say I'm super happy for Jeff Brom because he's clearly over the UK loss, and it's just good to know that he doesn't think about it. It's all good. It's fine. He's not mad. He's not mad. You guys are crazy. You guys are crazy.
Here's my personal issue with that, and I'll be honest. I heard that audio was played earlier in the week on the Diener Show with Mark Blankenbaker and Diener, 7 to 9 or 7 to 10, Monday through Fridays on ESPN 680 and 93.9 The Ville. A little plug there, not that they need it, but make sure you plug this show and make sure you hit the like button, smash the freaking subscribe button, all that good stuff. Go to the YouTube channel, do all that. Anyway, just got to keep plugging. But anyway, I heard the reaction first. And what I kept hearing was Diener say something along the lines, and he says this all the time about basically he is feeling. I'm trying to think of the exact words that I want to put. Like he loves it that it eats him up and that he cares about it because he's worried about it for this season. And here's my problem with that. Personally, that's great. That's fine. Just win the bleeping game. That's what I care about. I care about winning the game. I don't care about pissing and moaning about the refs. I don't care. And I mean, I think there's a point to be made of, like, yes, it was the most penalized team in SEC, and they didn't get they got one penalty and they turned they rejected one penalty.
Well, why are you bringing that up now? The funny thing is like this gave UK fans like everything they would want because we could not be more down. U of L's feeling great, and you're bringing up the fact that you're still upset about last year's game.
Well, you can't,
and it just makes you smile.
I disagree about they couldn't be more down because right now I feel like UK. I mean, okay, coming off of the Georgia games, have we talked since? Yeah, we talked last week, right? After the Georgia game?
We did not talk after South Carolina, but we talked after Georgia.
That's what it was. You don't feel any better after that game? Like, you don't feel any better at all, even though it was a loss, and I was so focused on my ranting and screaming on here. But at the same time, you don't feel any better at all. Not
at all. Not a touch better. Because here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The schedule is hard, and it's only going to get harder because Vandy looks so much better than what people thought they were going to be. So, like, people checked Vandy as a win. People checked South Carolina as a win. That's already a loss. Yeah. So, for us to feel like we could even, like, bounce back, that Georgia had to be – Georgia, we needed that win just to get back on track. So, yes, great, moral victory, whatever. It's a loss is a loss. A loss is a loss. Yeah. A loss is a loss. I mean, we're going to struggle. It's going to be a struggle to get back to – 6 wins to
even
get
to
a
6
bowl.
wins.
But Having said that, we're on Brahm's brain, and the fact that we're on his mind makes me so happy.
And let's stick with that just a little bit, because that is my biggest issue. Is more of like, I'm tired of hearing being emotional. It is better that Jeff Brom has his opinion this way, and it's not Kenny Payne, which is I just want to beat him by 1. I know he wants to bash my head in, just want to win by 1. I love John Calipari. Where is it? Where is it? I have it in here. Oh, just there we go. I forgot. Got to turn that up.
I love John Calipari.
I'm tired of hearing that kind of stuff, so that's fine. But the one thing that I need, and there's still a little bit of niceness in Jeff Brom. I need a little bit of that dog. He's got the dog. He's got that dog in him. But the reason is like, I would just be more. I hate to go this way, but be more Bobby Petrino. Be more Mark Stoops. Be fired up for that game. Show up for that game instead of me having to talk about.
He is. I think the fact.
They didn't show up last year. They didn't show up. I had to sit next to the big blue wall and deal with them cheering on. What is going on? Why?
Your house is haunted.
It is. It's a ghost.
The fact that he's at least. I mean, it's kind of funny from a UK's fans' perspective. We're gonna like poke the bear and be like, hey, we live rent free in your head, which is true. But the fact that he is still thinking about that game. Means that he cares about the game. That means that it's still like stuck in his craw. He's ready. He wants to avenge that loss, which that has to make you feel good. Even if we're gonna like toy you guys and be like, hey, we beat you. Your coach is thinking about us.
Yeah,
it's got to make you feel good. He's looking forward to that game. He wants to avenge it.
I know he takes it seriously, and I appreciate it. I mean, come out here and play like Louisville football should play. Because here's my biggest issue. I think a lot of the things we talked a little bit on the College Football Friday show, guys. If you don't watch it, I'm plugging again. Every Friday, 6 p.m. I got to change the graphic a little bit, but it's obviously presented by the Roundtable, James Strebel, Max Godby, former UK lineman for what's his name? Joker Phillips, and of course, and even though Jeffries doesn't want to like say that he technically was in the NFL. So Justin Jeffries was in the NFL, former UK lineman as well. Join us every Friday, 6 p.m. We had an issue with Twitter. Some guys at the station decided, hey, let's just ruin Justin's day. Let's ruin Justin's day. The one day that he has scheduled every Friday. Luckily, it's fixed for Sunday. Luckily, we're on Twitter on Sunday. But let's go ahead and just decide to cancel our subscription to because you got to do like the Twitter, the premium thing now for it to actually go onto the website or for you to be able to stream now on Twitter. Yep. So people decide, let's just cancel the subscription like hours before we're going to do a show. So anyway, that was fun. I was screaming and I was cursing anyway. Peanut Butter Posse. name almost got me last time. It says Bench Vandergriff. He goes on to say, we can run block. Wimsat is our Lynn Bowden. We can extend the bull streak with Wimsat. I'm just going to give this take before we even get into the games. No part of me has been impressed with Wimsat as a player for UK. I don't think he is. I mean, he might be. Maybe that's okay. You know what? Maybe that's what Mark Stoops wants. Maybe he wants a quarterback that's really just good. Not going to actually be able to throw the ball very well, or just so he doesn't have to do it. Maybe that's
he doesn't want. He just doesn't want anything flashy. He wants everything to look very vanilla, very boring. Just milk the clock. Long drives, put you to sleep. That's what he wants, and it's hard to watch. Yeah. That's on me, Wegs. My guy, what's up, Daddy Wegs? Douchey name, love you, go. He always shows up to our stuff. He always supports us. Says UK Honk pulled a Tim Sullivan. It's my fault. He's not a pro at this. I told him to do it, and I should. He told me to do it. I should have done it. I should have just handled everything. It's my fault. It's on me. I put it on me. You know what I mean? Yep. Brian says, good group of dude bros here. He also says stash or clean shave. No. It's a beard stash. We should make a bet. We need to make a bet, and I don't know what my end of the bet would be, but if you lose the bet, clean shave. That's what your punishment has to be. So we need to figure out a way to do. Maybe we do that for the UK U of L game. I put something on the line, and if U of L loses, clean shave.
I can't. Here's the problem. I can't do it. Here's why I can't do it. I'd rather eat dog shit. I'd rather be the guy eating dog shit. You're gonna eat that dog shit.
You can do that too. You can do that too.
Here's why I won't do it. And it's because your boy's got to lose some weight before I do that. This baby face is going to be way too fat if I do that. And I can't go to work with just all bald. I can't do it. I can't show up. I have to have this.
Lame.
It won't take me long to grow it back. Like I would shave it, and then like within a few days, I'd have it back.
You guys are gonna win. What are you worried about? You guys are gonna win. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You gotta have
but
confidence.
real quick. I think that's my biggest issue with the Jeff Brom thing, with the talking about it and the complaining and all that stuff. Is like, just go out and do it. I want to stop hearing about how much he cares about it and how important this.
He's had one shot at it, right? Like
I know,
chill
but
out. He's had one shot at it.
And maybe it will be the Charlie Strong thing where you lose the first one and then you get it rolling. We'll see. I know that Mark Stoops cares about this rivalry. That's my issue. I know he cares. I want you to prove that we care and that we're actually going to do the work to win the game. It's just like me going out here and just saying, it's basically like everybody talking about Jeff Brom being like, he cares about this game. He's going to win this game. He's got all this like built up emotion about this game. It's like me talking about, I want to lose weight. I'm going to lose the weight. It's going to happen. I'm going to lose the beer belly. The gut's going to be gone. I can talk about it all I want. But if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen if I'm not actually going to do the work. So I can talk about it all year long, but Big Boy's still going to be Big Boy if he doesn't change anything. So I don't know what it is. Okay, the headphones are messing up. Is that what it is? We can do this on air. It's fine.
All right, I'm losing the headphones. Headphones. But here's the thing: the thing you got to give him a little grace on is the fact. No offense, you're comparing yourself, but you've been alive for what, 34 years? Like Jeff Brom's had 1 year. Like give him a couple cracks at it. Give him a couple cracks.
Yeah.
And the fact that he is trying, or the fact that he is annoyed by last year's loss, regardless of if it makes UK fans like myself smile.
Yeah.
Clearly he cares. Clearly he's got the game circled. That's got to make you good. I mean, you even said to yourself, you like the fact that Stoops and Calipari always got up for the UK U of L game.
I just want that on my side, just once.
And I think you got it. You've got it. The fact that he's mad means he's at least going to get up for that game. Now, whether you win or lose, I don't know. Yeah. You'll be favored. You're favored every year.
Every time. Every freaking time. Even with Scott Satterfield. And maybe give me a couple of years, and maybe once we fully get out of the Scott Satterfield dredge, then maybe I'll feel a little bit differently. Anyway, just speaking of which, I know you like to do a little bit of a segment. It's Sunday. We do Sunday After Dark, and I know you like to do a little bit of the. You want to call it a Sunday Sips? Is that what you want to call it?
Yeah,
I know you like to bring it up. So let's go ahead and get that out of the not get it out of the way. Let's talk about, because this but this is a big part of like what we enjoyed, what we did on the Now We Can Talk Men podcast. Something I would like to bring back. Brian, if you're in here, you're doing the podcast. I don't know what to tell you. We're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing it. I'm just gonna keep pushing until you say yes. But anyway, something that we love doing on the Now We Can Talk Men podcast. A big part of it was bourbon. Something that you and Brian know so much about. Something I know enough as you told me about. That's about it. Yeah. I know that it's an expensive hobby, and I know it's a time-consuming hobby, something I haven't put the time in, but I do know that some of the stuff you let me sip on, I've enjoyed a lot, especially mixers.
You would like this one. This one is a special one. This one is from Heaven Hills Distillery. Again, if I'm boring you guys, I'll keep it short, but Old Fitzgerald, 13-year-old VVS. It's actually from the Bernheim distillery. So Heaven Hill actually didn't distill it. It was Bernheim, which makes it that much better in my opinion. Had a couple of guys over on Friday, and they pressured me into opening one. So
that's weird. I didn't get an invite. I didn't see that invite come through.
You don't care about bourbon. You don't care about bourbon.
I could if you gave me a chance. Like, hey, Justin, want to come by? Want to come hang out and drink some bourbon? Want to not spend money on bourbon?
Well, here's the thing. If you want to come over and watch Ole Miss wreck UK, I'm going to need sips of this, so it'll be there. So cheers to all you guys that are watching and listening. And like I said, this will probably be halfway gone after the Ole Miss game. So cheers,
I'm going to
guys.
ask you, we're going to keep this condensed because I know people want to talk U of L UK and all that. Maybe some other stuff. But real quick, is this your first time tasting this? This is not your first time tasting this one, right?
It's not. So I opened it on Friday. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Give me the notes. Give me all that stuff that
I'm not going to give you all that.
No, I want. No, I just want to.
I'm not going to do all that.
Just, can you do a condensed? The ghost one.
But here's what I'll say.
The ghost in here wants it.
So here's what I will say. I will say if you've ever had an Old Fitzgerald, throw all of that out the window when it comes to this. I've had pretty much all of the old Fitzgeralds. Have not been a fan until this one, and that's mainly because again, this one was tanked. It was distilled and tanked from Bernheim, and they saved it for this is their 250th, I believe, anniversary bottle. And so they saved it for a special occasion, and it is a special bottle. So if you get your chance to get your hands on this, I would say absolutely get it. It's not a cheap bottle. I think retail is like $250. Secondary, you're looking at like $750. So it's hard to get your hands on, but if you can, it's worth it. It's a special one. But again, it's going to be half gone after Lane Kiffin beats the hell out of us. So I'm going to enjoy it while I can. That's right. Yeah. I'm going to enjoy it while I can.
Just give me a note. Give me a note.
What does it taste like?
All right. Give me the nose and then give me the tongue. Save that for the mixtape.
All right. No, it's got like the most beautiful like oak taste or smell you've ever smelled. Like,
okay.
I know that sounds weird for a drink, but like if you get that oak influence from a barrel, this is just like the sweetest oak. It's got a lot of brown sugar. And let me get on the nose real quick, or on the palate.
That's not true. That's not true, Brian. He said secondary at $750. It's not worth more than everything that's behind me. It's not. I promise.
I mean, this is just like again, if I'm boring you guys, I'm sorry, but it's just the most beautiful combination of oak and fruit. Like it's got strawberry, raspberry, it's got like, vanilla, but then this oak background to it with just like this nice sweet oak with a little bit of brown sugar. It just is such a well-balanced bourbon. And again, if you have Old Fitzgerald that's not this one, I'd say sell it. I would say hold on to it, make it look good on your shelf. Don't open it. This is an exception. This is one I think you need to open if you've got it, Brian, because I know you've got one.
Jared Disney's asking, what'd you pay for that one?
I got it for retail, surprisingly. So I got it at the distillery. They had an event, and I told you guys about it. Justin, you included. I was like, "Hey guys,
I glaze over. The text group pops up. You all talk so much, and I just kind of glaze over. And I'm a working man. I'm a blue collar man out here working these streets.
Anyways, but yeah, they had this in the Heaven Hill 18 year at the distillery. So I paid $250. Again, not cheap. It's not a cheap bottle, but it's worth it. If you feel like you need to sell it, you can sell it. So I'm not going to be a high and mighty. Nobody should ever sell a bourbon. Like if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But this is one I felt like I needed to open. So glad you guys could be here and enjoy it. Hopefully you all are pouring something too while we talk sports this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to sip a little bit. Daddy Wags back says Jeff's comments nowhere near as bad as the state of Louisville's proclamation that attendance was going to be mad. I'll take $50K. Yeah, I'm tired of the excuse making. That's what it is. And I'll be honest. Okay, actually, that's a part I want to talk. Let's just go ahead and throw that into as a little bit of an icebreaker between us before we get into the games. How much do you give a damn about the actual attendance? People love the rivalry over attendance. I don't give a shit. I don't. Like I don't care who's there. At this point,
you don't care. I mean, that goes.
If it's a big game, it's a massive game. Yes, it should be full, right? But like, I also like I've done this rant. People love to do the thing of, well, look how many people were here for this game, whatever. Here's my problem: and Blake's kind of talked on it too. Louisville's become kind of a bougie football fan base, and when I say that, I mean as in we're only showing up when it's a.
You guys you literally drink out of like trash bags. So how are you going to say you're a bougie football fan?
When he says bougie, he doesn't mean not the activities. I'm talking about like, that game. Oh, I don't know if that one's good enough. Stop it. Stop. I don't know what's going on. But you know what I mean? Like that game. Oh, I don't know if that one's good enough for me to go. But here's my issue. Ever since COVID, ever since everything's changed, there's so much of like with how expensive games are, and also like having a family and kids and time consuming. Like, unless it's something that, like, I'm getting paid to be there for, like, if I'm doing, like, the EL Plus thing or whatever, I'm not getting paid for this. But if I'm going out there and doing a job, absolutely, when it's Jacksonville State or whatever, I'll be out there. But otherwise, it's going to be hard to get me when I could, when I have other time. I want to be at the games, but I can just as comfortably watch it from home with a big-ass TV in front of me, and I can be comfortable and not spend ungodly amounts of money every time I want to get a freaking beer or have to go sit next to Joe Bob when I'm trying to take a piss and we're crossing swords at the
Last week
urinal.
you were talking about how beautiful or how awesome it was when you would drive through Alabama, you drive through Tennessee, and that's all they cared about was
it's a culture
football.
thing. It's a culture thing.
If you want that culture,
I'm part of the problem. I'm part of the problem.
You're part of the problem. You gotta just throw out. You gotta throw out God. You gotta throw out family. You gotta say U of L football first, and then everything.
God
else
and family can be second and third, but Louisville football's got to be first.
It's gotta be. If you want to be SEC, that's how it's got to be.
Mm-hmm. Bubba Neer says Arkansas Sufferer will not accept a loss to Notre Dame. Sorry. Oh, okay. Oh, so you think okay? So do you rivalry about it though? Like, do you think it's that big of a deal that you're going to argue with a rival fan about who has more attendance at a game? Like, who do you give that much of a damn?
No, I don't give that much of a damn. But I do think attendance speaks volumes about the state of your program. You know what I mean? Like, if your attendance is half full and you've got a decent team out there, like that's not going to keep your coach around. That's not going to like keep recruits wanting to come over. So it matters, but no, I would never like use that in an argument that, one team's better than the other because the fans show up. But it matters. I mean, I think it does matter in the long run.
Yeah.
All right. Brian wants to know what to taste. All right, Brian, I know you got one of these. Come hop on and you can drink one too.
Yeah, Brian, you can feel free. Anyway, I'll come back to some of your all's texts or comments because a lot of your all's chats are about the games, and we're gonna kind of go ahead and get into it. We're already 20 some odd minutes in this show. We still haven't gotten to the first topic, but let's go ahead and move into that. Let me get my sheet of lies out real quick. Anyway, obviously the weekend's over. We're kind of coming down a little bit from the last two games yesterday. Kentucky takes care and covers against. Who'd they play? That's how bad. Ohio. I'm going to be honest.
You clearly watched the game.
No, I had okay, here's what I did. I actually was driving out to Brandenburg. I had the game on my, on my phone, but like plugged up in there. So I had it on, but I wasn't like, and I also had Mark Blankenbaker in the pregame show for the U of L thing. So for the U of L game. So I was multitasking, and I'm going to be honest. Kentucky, Ohio doesn't do a lot, doesn't move the needle for me unless I look at unless I tune in the third quarter and somehow it's a close game. It wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah. But at the same time, then I'm more tuned in. So this one I'm gonna, and even if I rely on you for this, like I don't know how much your side of that you can really take away from it until this next week will be more of a litmus test, I think, for Kentucky. Obviously it's going to be but to see if really what we saw against Georgia is more of what Kentucky is, or if what we saw against South Carolina is the real Kentucky. Who is the real Kentucky? What's your takeaway from the game that was yesterday for the Wildcats?
I mean, I think you've seen the real Kentucky every week. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen a team that has a pretty solid defense. Like, even the South Carolina game, like, they played good defense throughout the game. They had just some massive, awful busted coverages that led to touchdowns. But, like, for the most part, they played solid defense. So you're good. I think UK has shown who they are. They are a team that plays very solid defense. Their offense cannot work. Like, their offense is the most clunky. Just, it looks so static. And that was against Georgia. I mean, yes, they were in the game against Georgia, but they didn't score a touchdown. Yeah. And that's what, they, even against Ohio, like, yes, they were able to move the ball because they were able to just out-athlete. They had the better athletes. They had the bigger guys. But you could still tell, like, the offense doesn't look good. It's not clicking. And we have Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, as good as your defense may be, you got to score some points to beat Ole Miss. Because you can play the best defense in the world, but Ole Miss is not going to score under 21 points. Like, you got to score. You got to score at least 28 plus to beat Ole Miss, and I don't think UK's got that in them. So I would love to hear from other UK fans that are here. Like, what did you learn from this game? Because if you ask me what I learned just more of the same. Like, I think we've got a good defense. But I don't think our offense is good enough to compete with the SEC. And I mean, I'm throwing Vanderbilt in that mix. Like, I don't think that we have an offense to compete with anybody. The defense might make us hang around. We might hang around until like the late third quarters. But I mean, the Georgia game was a perfect example. If we had any semblance of an offense, we would have won that game. Yeah. We just had nothing. We had nothing, and we still have nothing. I do not believe that. I think the Ole Miss game is going to be ugly. I really do.
Strebel's talked about this a lot recently on his show, and something we talked about in the College Football Friday show. Fridays at 6 p.m. on ESPN Louisville Plus. Something we talked about a lot is I think a lot of Kentucky fans are just kind of coming down with the realization of it hasn't been the offensive coordinator's faults. It hasn't been. It's Mark Stoops. Mark Stoops is the problem. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. It's Mark Stoops. We could do a Taylor Swift thing. Anyway, no, but Mark Stoops is the issue. And the problem is Mark Stoops has made Kentucky football respectable. So at this point, I feel like a lot of Kentucky fans, as long as Mark Stoops is going to be here, you kind of have to dig in with what he wants to do. And what that really is just getting a guy who is going to run the ball. Just run the damn ball as much as you can and only throw when it's necessary. And that's what you're going to have to find. You're going to have to find a guy who, like Lynn Bowden. That's why that was successful. That's why it worked out. Like a guy who's not going to throw.
But here's the thing with this, though. If you're going to do that, what do you have to have? You have to have an offensive line. So you kind of have to adjust to what your personnel is.
Well, typically he does, though, right?
Well, not the past 2-3 years. I mean, Vandergriff is getting his head taken off. Levis had his head taken off. Like they have no time. And so if you want to play that style of football, hats off to you. Like Lynn Bowden, fine. It's not the prettiest thing to watch, but a win's a win. I'll take wins. But you're not going to win playing that style of ball if your offensive line is garbage. So you've got to figure out, you got to get a little bit more creative than, hey, we're going to just, run the ball, Marshawn Lynch, gif, and just like
run it through a mother bleeper throat.
Yeah, you can't do that if your offensive line is what it is. And so I don't know. I mean, we had a good coordinator in Cohen, but now I think we're back to Stoops ball, and it's just not going to get it done this year. And so, I'm not optimistic, and obviously Vegas isn't either. We're 17.5-point dogs to Ole Miss, so. Right. It's not looking good. The only way I'll get back on the train, I'll be all in.
It's not looking good, Bev.
Not looking good.
It's not looking good.
The only way I would be all in is if we upset somebody. You've got to get an upset of a top 10 team like Ole Miss. You beat Ole Miss, I'm back in. I'm fully back in. Man, I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit, but especially given you're on the road. It's Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin does some funny things, as well as you had the perfect opportunity. You're the number one team at home, and you have an opportunity to win that game. Just show bring out the cojones. That's all I ask, Mark Stoops. Bring out your cojones. And it's funny, after that game, I see you, Ghost. We're not doing this today. But anyway, after having that game where he's heard people bitch and moan at him all week. And Mark Stoops got a little bit in his feelings in a couple of those press conferences talking about his decision of why he thought it was a good decision. No matter what he says, it wasn't a good decision. It was a bad decision. It was a gutless decision. Mark Stoops is a bum. Anyway, but my personal opinion and what I thought was so funny is second quarter of the game. I did see this while I was driving. They pull up a 4th and 7. And he doesn't kick the field goal. He goes for it. And I thought, to me, I was like, was that play call? Because he knows he's playing against Ohio. It's the second quarter. You do what you want. If they don't, if they get stopped, who cares? To me, that was kind of a message to UK fans, and I think it didn't go like he was expecting. I thought he was going to try to go for it on 4th and 7, and I thought that he probably, I felt like, because Vandiger threw that touchdown pass, and they ended up scoring on literally on the 4th and 7, and I thought for a moment that I was like, he's got to be pissed. He can't be happy. I mean,
never converted.
I mean, I think he's happy about the points, obviously, for the game. But I think in the moment, I think he was trying to prove a point. And I think it was just like, you want to go on 4th and 7? I'll go on 4th and 7. I'll do it. We'll do it now. And then he ended up scoring. It's like, that would have been cool. Well, that would have been cool against Georgia.
Yeah, but I mean, if anyone asked him, he's going to give you the reasonable response of like, 4th and 7 against Ohio when the game's not on the line, little different than 4th and 8, 4th and 7 against Georgia, game on the line. But having said that, and everyone knows this, like if you gave Mark Stoops truth serum, like you shot him up with some truth serum and you said, hey, you wish you had gone for it? He'd say, yeah, 100%. Like, of course. I mean, now hindsight's 2020. But still, he knows. We all know that if he could do it over again, he would have gone for it 4th and 8.
But I'm so sick of the just at that point, just cop to it and be like, just cop to it and say I fucked up. Like, how hard is that?
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do that. He's not.
I don't
They're
know,
always
like-
going to justify the decision.
It's so stupid.
You know.
Okay,
I agree.
let me bang through some of these because shout out BB. I said it. Shout out BBN. UK fans always show up and always leave comments. So appreciate you guys. Let me go ahead because you want to get some of their opinions and some of their thoughts. And we are way down in these. So let's see. Way Weary says Stoops' biggest problem is he stays conservative even when he's losing at the end of games, like the Georgia game. At some point, you have to roll the dice and try to win. Gonna read through a couple of them. Peanut Butter Posse says his quarterback poops his pants in pressure situations. Can't expect him to get 4th and 7 against Georgia. Defense actually almost pulled it off.
I
disagree.
disagree with that because Vandergriff, even though he's not, I don't think he's good. He
Mm-hmm.
was playing. He was playing as hard as you could play in that game. Like he had people in the backfield all game, and he was escaping. He was making plays with his legs.
Yeah.
So like, I have to disagree with that. Like he was playing at least as best you could possibly play, given the fact that you're playing Georgia and your O-line is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to give Vandergriff a pass on that game. I think he did the best he could.
Yeah. This is no shot at you, Peanut Butter Posse.
And okay, Anthony Eason right here. No,
Uh-huh.
he nailed it. If I was a UK fan, I'd be pissed at the play calling leading up to the 4th and 7 against Georgia. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the punt. The punt was bad. The punt was garbage. The punt was chicken shit football.
Yeah.
The 2 plays before that lost you the game.
Yeah.
You could have easily gotten yourself into field goal range by running some normal high success plays, and you ran 2 just terrible plays that got you 0 yards.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right on that one.
Yeah, a lot of guys agreeing with that. Yeah, just run the ball. That's what you like to do. Those are the 2 times where you need to be running the ball. Let's see. Okay, let me try to read through this. I'd like to think Braum goes for it in that situation. Who knows? Okay, actually, no. I do know. I do know that Braum would go for it in that situation because it's what he. But I don't mean just because he's Braum, but like it's different because you don't rely on your defense if you're Jeff Braum. You don't. I think I'm going to get into that when we talk about Louisville here in a second. I can't believe we're talking about UK as much as we are, honestly. We've done pretty well milking all we can out of this game, I feel like.
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe we got to get Bush turned.
Well, we're not talking about this game. We're still going back to Georgia because this was a sleeper. And it's good to see you cover. It's good to see you, control the game, not let it be close. Having said that, you didn't learn anything. The one silver lining, and we can get to Louisville after this, but I will say the one silver lining I have about the UK season so far, I do think South Carolina is better than everyone thought they were going to be because they absolutely rolled Akron. Now, Akron's not good, but they should have beat LSU. They had LSU dead to rights like 10 times and just kept like flag, penalty. Like they just could not get out of their own way. They were clearly the better team than LSU. And so I think South Carolina is actually better than what people thought they were going to be. So that's, if I had to at least give a silver lining, I would say, well, maybe South Carolina loss wasn't the disaster it turned out to be, but we'll see.
Yeah. Bubba Nero says it should give UK fans some hope that Vandergriff threw a fit when Stoops tried to kick a field goal. I guess, but like he can't overrun the coach. That's great.
And
It's good. It shows he's got fight.
Yeah,
but
you're not Lamar Jackson. You don't get to you're not Tom Brady. You don't get to call the shots. Like you're Vandergriff. You're whatever. Shut up. You can get mad if you want, but.
And I see some discussion in the chat about Louisville and the postseason and all that. Where is it? It really doesn't matter what Louisville or what Kentucky does. Louisville has to win the ACC to get to the playoffs. I guess we kind of talked about it last week a little bit about which one we would take, and Louisville has to win the ACC. I've recalibrated my expectations a little bit following the game this week, and as much as that's cool and caring about the ACC, I need to see more development from this team before I really care. Winning the ACC, what I mean is getting to the playoffs. It's going to be a little bit before I am really settled into the playoff discussion, even being a serious contender. Because right now, I'm looking at Miami, and they look, I've been a denier, but Miami looks like the best team in the ACC right now.
So let's, before we get down the road, though, this is a good segue to Ville. So let's talk about the game. Like, what were your takeaways? Like, what did you get out of that game? Because you mentioned it. The UK game was a little bit of a snoozer. I had the game on. I was watching the game, but if I I'd be lying if I said I wasn't on my phone, wasn't yelling at my kids to shut up,
Right.
like the whole thing. U of L game, like I actually
beating
was
my
kinda
wife, yelling at my kids, doing all that stuff.
Yeah, you know, I was drinking, I was gambling, I was beating people, you know. But I was tuned into the U of L game pretty closely because it was an entertaining game.
No, it was one of the better games, and especially in that time frame, one of the better games on competitively too. Real quick, guys, before we get into it, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, go to the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe over there. Okay, so you're asking me my opinion on the Louisville game. What the big picture takeaway for me was, right? That's basically what you're asking me.
What did you learn? What did you like? I told you I learned that UK is UK from the UK game. Like, what did you learn about U of L? Because I think I actually have U of L figured out. I think I do.
See, it's funny because I feel like I've got more questions now. I've got more questions about what Louisville is, because the biggest problem I had, and the same thing I talked about after we came away from the Jacksonville State game, was the defense is a problem. To me, it's a problem. To me, it's the definition of a bend, don't break defense. And I'll give them their props. They did very well, especially at the end of the game. And I sent the tweet out, and I even exposed myself. I know I'm not getting retweeted.
I already have it. I've already got it pulled up.
Are you talking about the tweet that I said they're not stopping or whatever? I know. I said it. Go ahead.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Read it off. That's fine. Give me it.
All right, Justin Soforo. The ineptitude is freaking unbelievable. Gift them 2 points, and now tell me that defense is stopping anyone.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, block field goal, scoop and score.
Scoop and score, and then they got another stop at the end. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I was wrong. It's the first time for everything, right? First time for everything. Here's my issue. That defense, though, coming out from the second quarter and then coming out, it's going to give me heart palpitations. My guy Bourbon says, my guess is Sofer learned wrong English is going to put him in an early grave, and that's a likely possibility. It's my biggest problem with this team is we were hyped up. We were given, and I guess maybe that's why I'm more frustrated. So many people love to talk. They love to give you how good this defense is going to be. Ashton Gelati's coming back, and Ashton Gelati's a monster. He's a beast. He's great. That's fine. But overall, I was given all of this buildup of how great this defense is going to be after I just watched the end of last season, where you reeled off three. You urinated down your leg in the last 3 games of the season. It just reminds you of 2016, but in a different way. But literally, Kentucky, then you go out and don't get the job done against the third-string quarterback for Florida State, and then go out there against USC and Miller Moss work shoe. And that's my biggest issue coming in here, is that I'm watching Louisville, and every single time I'm getting a little bit more nervous, just because they're not going out there and they haven't lost these games and they haven't given up the amount of points. It feels like watching them continuously give up the big play after big play after big play and having to get into the red zone before they can finally shut somebody down. It's worrying me because it's playing against Georgia Tech. And I don't know how, I don't know. I've heard a lot of buildup from both sides.
Georgia Tech's not bad. They're not bad.
They're not
bad,
but it's still Georgia Tech, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's still.
You have to admit that was the first decent team you've played, right? Like, that was your all's first test. Like, obviously they're not world beaters, but they beat Florida State. Like, they're all right. They're all right.
But what that tells me, everybody's beating Florida State. Florida State's
they won. They beat Cal.
Okay. Oh,
it makes me mad. It makes me so mad. Like, that game made me more mad than any other game because they won a game before the dude ate the dog crap. Like, I wanted them to lose every game until they finally dragged him out of his cave and just shoved dog crap in his mouth.
You were gonna eat this dog, just like literally get the zoomed in like Will Ferrell with him like putting his tongue on the dog crap, like at least getting that.
Make him do it.
Just shoving his face into. That'd be great. Also, it disappointed me because all the Fantifa stuff. That's what Mark Ennis quote. What's it called? I think he copyrighted that for. Have you seen Cal Twitter? Have you seen the stuff? Okay. Later after this, you have to look it up. They're actually really, really funny, and like it's like a big thing. You know, like you hear about like FSU has a Twitter that's pretty big. BBN obviously does, but usually like FSU and BBN are a little bit more like, you know, I hate you, whatever. Maybe say a racist thing or something like that, and then you look at their thing and it's like God, family, FSU,
yep.
You know, whatever. It's saying Cal, it's like funny stuff because they kind of know who they are. You know what I mean? Like they understand. So anyway, it's something to definitely look up. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm worried. Obviously, we talked about the Ron English thing, but I am worried about this defense. And I think when you get a top-tier opponent, when you're going up and you're playing Clemson, when you're playing – and Notre Dame is one that we're going to get to that. Notre Dame, I'm not there for them. I'm not there with them. I still kind of feel like Louisville's going to go out there and win that game. But when it comes to playing Clemson, who looks resurgent now, and then playing Miami, it worries me if they're going to be able to stop those high-powered offenses. Right? That's something that I'm terrified of.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't think that the defense is so bad that they're going to lose you games. I do think that U of L is going to have to score. You all are going to have to score some points. Like, you're not going to be able to like win the way Georgia won against UK. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to have any rock fights and win those games. But I didn't see anything that made me like say, oh my gosh, this defense is just like Swiss cheese. Mm-hmm. The one thing that worried me, and I'm curious if you got anything out of this, it seemed like your all's O-line was a little bit suspect. Now, it didn't lead to many sacks, but there were so many times where it felt like your quarterback was a little bit rushed, a little under pressure. He made the right decisions, was able to get the ball out of his hands, but I just felt like if you're playing a team that's maybe a top 10 team,
I think
their corners hold up a little bit better. I don't know. I didn't look like the O-line held up that well.
Well, and that's the one thing too coming out of this, though, or going into this game, we kind of knew we talked about how good Georgia Tech's front is. Like they're very, very good in the trenches. They're probably one of the best in the ACC in the league. So that's one of the things you kind of knew you're going to get blown up a little bit there. But then also we had, and this is an issue I could have added into here. Talking about what Jeff Braun was saying, the ACC refs, they just kept the. I don't want to come out here and just say the worst penalization of a team I've ever seen, but it was pretty bad. Some of the calls that they were making, and I wondered if some of those guys on the line were a little bit thrown off or a little bit. I don't want to say that they were rattled. But I kind of felt like a little bit because so many. I'm trying to remember exactly who it was that was called for the penalty that sent them back 15 when they were in great position. And then they ended up having to punt. Anyway, one of those moments, I think that really affected it. But then also that's why I had this note here. One of them that's also what caused Tyler Shuck to give up that safety at the end of the game, or not the end of the game, but in the second half there, because he tripped over. He tripped over his man, and that's what made him go down. I thought at first, I was like, what? I was like, is he just that rattled that he went down? But when you give him 2 points like that, it frustrates the hell out of me. Sorry, I'm reading this at the same time.
If I was a U of L fan, the one thing that it gives me hope, because I feel like, again, you know this team way better than I do. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving like more of an objective, like 500-foot view of this. Yeah. I feel like U of L looks very similar to how they looked last year. But what would make me more optimistic is you don't have Plummer. I think your quarterback makes better decisions, and so I felt like Plummer cost you. He cost you the UK game 100%. And so I just felt like Plummer was your all's. I mean, the defense was never great. So yes, I don't think the defense is like great, but Plummer was your all's like Achilles heel. Like he would make some really dumb decisions, and I don't see that this year. No, that's what would give me hope. Yeah.
I mean, he's been playing 7 years, so he's pretty. Like I feel like
Plummer played a long time too. Plummer he'd been around. Yeah. He'd been around the block.
But I mean, even though he's been so injury prone, I feel like he's a little bit more confident in himself in the pocket. The problem is, like you said, when that pocket breaks down. And thank you, Anthony Eason brought it up for me. Sorry, I was a little bit trying to dig in my mind. Mendoza is the weak spot on the offensive line. He was the one who was getting called for penalties multiple times, and then also just. He was the one that was frustrating me there, and I think that's kind of maybe what set him off, because there were a couple times there that I wasn't used to seeing. Of course, it's against Jacksonville State and against who do they play in the opener? Why am I blanking on the opener? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Crap.
Who play?
Louisville, the opener. Jacksonville State and somebody help me.
Austin B.
Thank you. Yes, Austin B. Thank you. Those two that I think. He never really saw a lot of pressure, obviously, given those games. And every time he had to take off with the ball, I didn't like that he had to take off, first of all, because I think kind of my thing with him is like, don't. That's
He's
every single one of your.
He's gonna have to make a lot of good and quick reads because I think your all's offense again, basing it off just a few games I've watched. The offensive line is going to they're going to be pressured. He's going to have some pressure, but if he can make the right
that was a good test,
calls,
though. That was a good test. So.
And he made a lot of the right decisions. Like I was actually pretty impressed. Where I was like, "Ooh, here comes Georgia Tech." He was able to get it out and then like first down, which could have led.
I heard people giving a little bit of, I just kind of I guess a critical break. I don't know if I'm not sure if I want to use the word breakdown, but a critical complaint about some of his decision making when he had to run out of the pocket, and because he kind of just went down so quickly. I'm okay with that because I feel like get down and don't risk getting injured. I don't care about picking up a few more yards, especially when I know you can make it up with your arm because that guy's got a cannon.
This is me not being a football junkie.
Yeah.
Why can't they just slide head first? I don't know why it pisses me off when they slide feet first because obviously the ball gets marked. The ball gets marked where you start your slide, right?
Yeah,
go down, like, or put your knee down. I don't know. It just bothers me because it's like you slide and like the ball gets marked like 10 yards.
I think you're right, but I think it's more of just the protecting yourself, protecting your head.
Go down head first. Go just roll. Do a stop, drop, and roll. Don't slide.
That's also slide. That's also
slide bothers me.
That's also a majority of where like his injuries came from too. But like in the past, but also Teddy Bridgewater was the worst offender. He was a fainting goat every time he had to run out of the pocket. It was hilarious, but he never understood how to do it. Additionally, going off of that though, let me see if that's really what the one thing I did take away, and one thing that I do feel very confident when it comes to Tyler Shuck is just his abilities as a passer are tremendous. Like he hits guys right on the spot. Like I called it a sniper shot. It kind of felt like that with because the guy was double teamed. I think it was Ja'Cory Brooks both times, and he was able to bring it in. But did you see the pass interference from Ja'Cory Brooks and that catch? Catch was insane. It was great because being able to be spun.
The defender clearly stopped playing. Like it was a great catch. It was a great catch. It was like the defender saw the flag get thrown, and he was like, "Oh crap!" Stopped. He stopped, and then
expecting.
Oh wait a minute. He's like, "Wait a minute." He still caught the ball.
But I think where I was really impressed though was just the wherewithal to be able to be spun around and continue on your route and to be able to get that. That was
he didn't give up on the play.
Yeah, and he was obviously and that's what I'm interested to see, especially coming back. We're gonna have hopefully we'll see Colin Lacey, who had been injured before the season started, might be back early, and he's the guy from was he from South Alabama? I believe. I'm not asking you because you don't know, because you don't care. But anyway, I believe he's the one because Ja'Cory Brooks is the one from Alabama who played for them, was really good. He still got his Alabama picture on his Twitter. Maybe change that. I don't know. It's just me, but I get I get why.
But my takeaway, like overall, like I kind of gave you what I thought as far as the O-line seemed a little bit suspect. Defense. I didn't think the defense looked terrible. I didn't think they looked good, but I didn't think they were just like, oh my gosh, this defense is because you remember like Lane Kiffin's first few years at Ole Miss, where it was like, yeah, they're gonna score 40, but they're gonna give up 50.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like that. It didn't look that bad, but it felt to me like overall, I just felt like U of L. I think you guys are better than you were last year, and last year you were in the hunt for the playoffs. But I don't think you are. I don't think you're the top tier yet. I think you guys are a good football team. I don't think you guys are a great football team. That's my takeaway right now. I think you all are good. I think you guys can compete with anybody in the ACC.
I hate you,
but
I can see you both winning. I can see Notre Dame winning. Okay.
I mean, I think you guys can compete with anybody in the ACC. Having said that, do I think you guys could go toe to toe with Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State? I don't. I think you're on the tier right below that.
Yeah. Okay. Couple of these I'm going to read through them real quick. Daddy Wex says the defense is soft as bleep between the 20s and pretty good, obviously inside the 20s. Made huge stops, scored points, and basically won the game along with special teams. Absolutely. It's just I just don't understand why the other 60 yards of the field you can't be locked down either. Because I was told how good the secondary was, and the secondary got blown up. The entire well, I guess really the first portion of the second half, I was having aneurysms over here.
Can everyone just agree? Like, Justin, you got to make your decision. Are you going to cuss or are you not going to cuss? Like, let's just. Oh,
because it's bleep.
Let's just decide. Like, which way are we going to go?
I think I save it for myself. I think it's if I'm reading somebody else cussing, I bleep it. But if I do it for myself,
it offends you if it comes from someone else. But
I want to say it with my chest. I want to say it with my chest if I'm going to say it. You know what I mean? That's kind of why.
I just want to be consistent. I'm getting mixed messages.
Well, he said AF. So
are we cussing or not?
Yeah, we're cussing. We're cussing.
All right,
Mendoza got hold for a couple holds, if that's who you're thinking. Yes, that's who it was. Thank you. And the defense started out slow last year, too, but got better as the year went on. I expect the same thing. Hopefully, they don't regress the last few games again. Okay, thank you for bringing that part again, because the first half of your sentence frustrated me, because I was like, yes, they did start out slow and got better, but then they crashed and burned at the end of last season, and I can't do that again. Braun pulled Mendoza at one point, so maybe he sees a shakeup at the right tackle spot this week. Okay. Well, that would make me feel a lot better if that isn't. No offense to Mendoza, but get it together. I also think getting Lacey will help as well. Having someone who can run sharp routes underneath to alleviate pressure will be nice. Absolutely. Bubba says, surprised Isaac Brown didn't get more carries and figured Duke Watson would redshirt. Yeah, I think also Chaney was eaten. That's the main thing. I feel like he was the workhorse for the entire game. I think they just kind of feed the stud at that time. Secondary fell parts one. Okay. I just want to touch on this real quick. You're not going to care about this. I'm just going to say it, though. Secondary fell apart once Riley left the game near the end of the first half. Blankenbaker talked with his mother about this, and this is where I had the biggest issue, is he was intent on playing for returning kicks in the special teams, and then he gets blown up and gets hurt on special teams when they said they're going to protect him, and this is what happens. This is why you don't let kids make these decisions. I'm sorry. Like if it's one of your star players, you have to protect him, and that pissed me off because I knew when we were going into this game that there was a chance that he was going to get hurt, and that's when it happens. Of course it does. Clay, stop. Clay's drunk. Clay's drunk.
I mean, what did he say that was wrong?
They got to score more points, and they got to whatever. Okay. Anyway, I think just kind of wrapping up the UK U of L, just a recap kind of talk. Let me see if there's anything else that I had there.
While we're on the U of L topic, though, let's just stay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stay with U of L, then we can go to UK, because I think we've already touched on UK a little bit, but obviously the big test, the big first test is next week. Mm-hmm. You've got Notre Dame at Notre Dame. That we haven't seen, at least I have not seen a line. Let's play guess the line. Oh, have you seen one?
I think I have. I think it opened as Notre Dame being a 4-point favorite. I think. Okay. I want to say.
I was gonna guess Notre Dame 2.5. That was gonna be my guess the line.
Let me check it.
Yeah, pull that up.
Maybe I'm just pulling shit up.
Guess the line. It's my favorite game. Guess the line is great.
I want to say that's what it was.
I never bet it. Like I never get the bet right. But if you ask me, like, what's the line? I'm usually pretty close.
I'm looking on ESPN. Okay, so uploaded says that Notre Dame 3.5. And yeah, CJ Jacoby, that's what I'm seeing right now, is 4.5 Notre Dame. So
I would probably take U of L there.
So
I think.
If that's, well, first off.
Maybe not money line, but I think they cover that.
Okay, let's just go ahead and get into it, and then I can talk about the ACC here in a second, because that kind of goes hand in hand. Even though Notre Dame's not an ACC team, it's kind of when we talk about the litmus test of where Louisville is overall in the league. And let's just go ahead and get into it. Notre Dame, I think overall, there's not a lot that I can really say because I don't know who Notre Dame is and I don't know who Louisville is either. Does that make sense? Where going into this game, this will be the litmus test for Louisville. Georgia Tech, I think, was a fine one. I think it kind of showed that they could. That they could pull. I don't know why I'm trying to keep myself from making the mixtape, even though I'm the one who does the mixtape. But they could pull it out in rough situations in that moment. But Notre Dame's a team who, and I think we've seen earlier in the season when they won that game against Texas A&M. Texas A&M is kind of dog shit. Texas A&M is not good. Like they're already they have fans right now on message boards talking about bringing Jimbo Fisher back. just seeing if he'll even try. And I think
he should make them have to pay his buyout while paying him an additional salary. It's like, you're going to pay my buyout and pay me to coach your team.
Yeah. And okay, -5 on DraftKings. Thank you. The game it's in South Bend for people asking. Huh?
Here's my thing. Here's my thinking with this is I mean, it's going to be tough going to Notre Dame. However, UVL saw Riley Leonard last year when he was at Duke and absolutely gave him hell. Like, he had a terrible game against UVL. So
dog shit.
I feel like
he was dog shit.
Yeah, the fact that they know who Riley Leonard is, I think that they are going to, the defensive coordinator is going to at least know, like, hey, this is what this guy can and can't do.
You'd like to think that. You'd like to think that he could.
I like U of L in this game. I think that it will be close. I think U of L actually pulls this game out. I really do.
Clay's killing me. Clay's drunk. I'm with you.
Good one. Got him.
I don't really have a lot to preview, but I will say I feel like given the last two seasons, seeing not last two seasons, seeing last season, Louisville handling Sam Hartman, and then of course they had handled him pretty comfortably when he was at Wake Forest before he had made the transition. It's 2024. We're talking transitions now. Moving to Notre Dame, and then to see Riley Leonard do the same. And I think I was even less impressed with Riley Leonard at Duke than I was with Sam Hartman when he was at. Because overall, I think the rest of the season, I was more impressed with Sam Hartman at Wake Forest than I was with because I feel like they kind of crashed and burned a little bit last season. He had a few
good games before he got hurt, like because he beat Clemson, right?
They beat Clemson, and that was his shining moment. That was his
shining moment. It looked good.
Parents,
he got
hurt.
Started
showing his mom every day.
He got hurt after that, and when he came back, he wasn't the same guy. But again, I think U of L pulls this out, and primarily I say that because I think that they know Riley Leonard. They kicked his ass last year. Yep. Sorry, kicked his bleep last year.
You can say it. It's okay. I'm sorry. It's when other people are. I'm just reading it off. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll now read it. I'll now read it off. I'll read the curse words.
I'm gonna say if I were to bet this game, which I don't know if I will. If I were to bet this game, I would put money on U of L to cover. Maybe sprinkle a little bit on U of L to win. Straight up money line. What about you? What is your? Because we're gonna know the outcome.
I'm not a gambler, so
I know, but
I'm not a gambler.
Let's just pick. Just make a pick.
I do have to pick these. I also always have to pick them Friday with Streeble and them. So I'll go ahead at this time. I'm especially given that it's a 4.5. A line's 4.5 or 3.5, depending on some people. I think it's 4.5 though. I'm gonna take Louisville to cover because I just think you're going.
Are you gonna pick them to win?
I
think they win the game.
Yeah. I think. Well. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, absolutely. I think they cover and I think they win.
All right.
So, yeah, I do. That's the game. And I've been kind of bullish on Louisville winning that game for a while. And I feel like every time we talked about it early in the season, I'm not a believer in Notre Dame, not this Notre Dame right now. And I haven't been a believer in them in a while. But also I feel like Jeff Brom, again, I'm not trying to do the Jeff Brom build-up thing, but being he's a Catholic background. This community in Louisville has a lot of. Last year, it became basically the biggest Catholic picnic in Louisville, basically because there's so many Catholics that cheer for Notre Dame, and there's so many Louisville fans that game was. It was a big. I don't want to say celebration, but it was kind of like that. You know what I mean? The biggest fish fry in the city, and I think that's kind of like a lot of Louisville fans will travel for that, and we've seen it happen before. Honestly, we saw it back when Reggie Bonifon won that game, and this has been obviously a while now. But Louisville fans will travel up to South Bend. They love to make that trek, and I think that Jeff Brom's going to get up for this game. One thing too is Jeff Brom
sell out your own stadium. You don't even sell out your own stadium. Let's be real. Attendance
we're not doing attendance talk. We're not doing it.
Terrible attendance. Notre Dame is not going to let a single U of L fan in that stadium. But
fuck you. There you go. There's how about that for cuss word?
Terrible fan base.
No, but I think the people that are dedicated, they will travel. And I think overall, this is the kind of game that Jeff Brom gets up for, right? It's the game like Georgia Tech that I worry more about.
Exactly. This is a big game Brom moment. I think this has big Brom win like all over it.
Big Brom energy.
This has got big Brom energy all over it. It's got big Brom energy on it. I think I think this is the game he wins. Now, I think that one game that looked a little bit more winnable before this week was Clemson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think Clemson might not be that bad. I think that maybe they just ran into – I think they had Georgia's attention, where obviously UK didn't have Georgia's attention. And when you have Georgia's attention, Georgia's just a buzzsaw. So, I think you throw that game out the window. You say, okay, maybe Clemson's not as good as Georgia, but that doesn't mean you're a bad football team. So that is a game I've got circled as, that might be a hard game for U of L to win, actually.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, there we go. I tend to believe that as well. Why is this not? Well, give me one moment. I got to fix something. I tend to, because I can't even hear. Mother bleeper. Anyway, I tend to believe that. I think overall, it's one of those things where Clemson, well, I gave them a lot of credit following the game against Appalachian State, right? You can hear me, right? Because I can't hear myself for some reason.
I hear you.
Okay. Anyway, when Clemson came out and played that game, I looked at it, and then Appalachian State looked really bad against who did they got blasted by some other crap bum team right now. So that kind of brought Clemson back down to me in the pecking order. There's a chance that this NC State's dog shit. There's a chance that NC State's really bad. There's a chance.
Tennessee blasted NC State.
Yeah.
So there is a good chance that NC State's they've got a good offense. They score points. They score points.
And I'm still giving Clemson credit, but I think NC State's a bad team this year. I can't believe that they were ranked in the top 25. I think they're really bad. That being said, Clemson looks, and I hate to use the word competent. It's much more than competent, and it's just interesting to me though, given Dabo Swinney that he just doesn't want to use. He doesn't like to use the transfer portal. Doesn't like to use NIL. He just likes to use God, family, faith, whatever it is. That's all he uses. Yet he's still getting. He still has some top quality talent.
I don't think he's
team.
a bad coach. I don't think.
Also,
I mean, he's not. He is failing at today's environment. He's failing at the portal. He's failing at NIL. But I feel like when it comes to X's and O's, I think Dabo actually is a good coach. I don't think he's a bad coach.
Also,
so I do think Clemson's going to be, like you said, competent's a good word. I think Clemson is going to be a tough win for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to say that you guys shouldn't come out on top, but it's going to be a tough game.
Thank you, Anthony. South Alabama. Yeah. It's funny. I can think about it all day, and then once we get in here and we're talking about it, I forget. I just blank, and I'm like, oh, that one team. That one team. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, but also, I think he's a competent coach, but the biggest issue for me for Louisville to overcome Clemson is, one, they obviously haven't done it. So there's like a mental block. I think no matter what coach it is, I think there's a program mental block. Just knowing, kind of like Kentucky, no matter who they played for the longest period against Florida, it was always a mental, didn't matter what coach it was. You had that streak. Tennessee did it for a while too. And I think there's just a mental block there where your confidence it gets weak when you go there. Plus, Louisville's going to have to go down to Ref Valley, and they're going to have to deal with the ACC refs trying to win Clemson that game no matter what. That's what they do. They let them play music. They let them shove fingers up buttholes. They do all that stuff down there, and they let them get away with it, but they don't let Louisville do it. I'll leave it to Mark Blankenbaker to give you that spiel, but it's true. It happens. NC State's defense is really bad. The only good defense they've played is Georgia, and we saw what happened there. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Georgia's got
their defense is clearly terrible. They do have a terrible defense. There's no doubt about that. No, so let's go to UK real quick. I mean, I've kind of made my opinion known. I think Ole Miss is going to. I don't think this is going to be a close game. I really don't, because I think Ole Miss, you're going to have to score to keep up with them. UK doesn't really score points. I mean, Kiffin in the past Stoops has never been able to figure out Kiffin. Even back on the days when Ole Miss would give up every single, points on every drive, they still beat UK.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a million chances to beat Kiffin, but I don't think Stoops just for whatever reason cannot figure Kiffin out. So I don't think it's going to be a particularly close game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would take it. I don't know if they're going to beat us by more than 17.5. That's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of points.
Something about something about this Ole Miss team though this year. There's a swagger. We got to use the term. It's a swag. They got swag this year. They really do.
They do. But I'm still not buying them as a national championship contender. I think that Kiffin is a good coach. I think he's a fun coach. I think he's always going to be around the playoffs. I think he's always going to be in the conversation. I'm not putting him in the category of a national championship caliber coach.
He's
going to have to show that to me.
Would you put Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss kind of like more on the same level as like Louisville, like as a team, like quality, like you know what I mean? Like they could make the playoff, or do you think they're that much better? Do you think they're a lot better?
I think that I don't want to say a lot better. I think that they are better than Louisville.
Okay.
I think that Ole Miss, if Ole Miss and Louisville faced off, I think
when he's had more time to establish his program than Jeff Brom has, obviously as well.
I mean, I think Ole Miss would be favored over U of L by like 7.5.
Okay.
So I don't think that I don't think they would be favored like they are against UK, obviously. But
do you think they're on like that tier? If you're doing a tier scale, do you put them like on the upper tier, like S tier, A tier, whatever, or do you put them like what tier level would you be putting them on? Hey guys, if you haven't already, do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go over to the YouTube channel.
If I'm doing a tier system, I have Ole Miss in the top tier. I have them
right there.
You
do put them right there with Georgia and all them.
With Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, I have them up there with all of them. But I would never take them because of Lane Kiffin. I don't believe Lane Kiffin is a national championship caliber coach. So I would never bet them to win the championship, but I do think they are more of a serious contender than U of L right now. Having said that, U of L has just as good of a chance to make the playoffs as Ole Miss, given the schedule. But I do think they're a better team, personally.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I'm trying to, and as Bubba Nero says, well, that was about the Catholic stuff. Yeah, I agree with that. Teddy Wick says I'm a Catholic FND. Bubba Nero, though, says Young probably sees U of L like Missouri on that kind of level of a program, a team program kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair because Missouri, again, now Missouri's not like.
Is it because their ceiling's very high and their floor is so low?
Typically, you think of Missouri like in the same caliber as the UK, but Missouri's a very good team this year. Like they're top 10 team, right? So like that's I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner, but yes, I think U of L and Missouri are probably on the same wavelength. I think Ole Miss, given despite the standings, the ratings, I think Ole Miss is better than Missouri. I do think Ole Miss is a better team than Missouri.
Okay,
even though they're ranked similarly.
Yeah, even though they're right up there with them. I think I also and like Anthony Easton says Missouri's overrated. Maybe that's why Dwight agrees. But I think overall, one of the things when I look at Missouri is, especially you think about they came into the SEC and the next thing you know they're playing, in the SEC championship game. And like I'm not saying Louisville SEC, but what I'm saying is like Louisville's had those moments where they've been able to compete at the highest level in their conference. Correct. But then the next thing you know, they could go through the floor, and they're one of the worst teams in the conference as well. It's very much a hit or miss when it comes to who you hire as a coach and how that plays out long term. So I can see that. DRC, how can U of L be ranked 15th with no what? Are you saying with no like wins against top 25 teams or something? I think just like do me a favor, finish your question. Finish the question on Twitter.
Do me a favor,
because I'm over here trying to I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm like, how can they be ranked 15 with no? I'm gonna guess it's probably like no wins over top 25 teams or something like that. Probably. It's because the way it works out, the teams that are ranked ahead of them,
a man and a woman love each other very much.
And then and then Georgia Tech, regardless of what happened with Florida State, and them losing games, I think Georgia Tech is still pretty well respected because I think also one of the things people. Sorry, I pulled a Zach intro, burping into the mic. I apologize. Anyway, one of the things that Georgia Tech's really respected on as well is I think is it on the road? No, I think it's overall. They were 5-0 against ranked teams under Brent Key, and I think they were 4-0 on the road in those games. And at least covering, but I'm pretty sure it was in actually winning those games, and the fact that Louisville was able to beat them is at least says something. I'm not gonna go off on on a limb and act like it was, I'm not gonna make anything more of it that win than it is. That's what I'm gonna say.
My final thought. My final thought on this week on this is I do think, and again, Vegas may come out and tell me I'm wrong, but I think if U of L beats Notre Dame and they beat them convincingly. Like, I'm not saying a bloodbath, but I think if the game is never fully in doubt, U of L beats Notre Dame, I would say that U of L is probably the favorite to win the ACC. I think they would jump Clemson. I think they would jump Miami. I think it would be close still, but I think U of L would become the favorite to win the ACC should they win convincingly at Notre Dame. What do you think about that? Or would you disagree?
That's a hard one.
Because Miami hasn't. Miami has looked very good, but they haven't faced anybody as
They ain't played nobody.
They ain't played nobody, Paul.
Look, here's my issue. I watched Miami last night. I have respect for South Florida. I think South Florida is actually a good team, like a solid team. They played Alabama close. It wasn't, honestly, and I'm not doing the Louisville fan thing. I'm not doing the Jeff Brom thing right now. But I
said
think
that like how many times? How many times have you said, I'm not doing the Jeff Brom thing?
It's because I am doing it. It's because I am doing it.
Yeah.
But in that game against Alabama, the refs kind of bailed them out multiple times there when South Florida was going to score and stop doing that. But multiple times against South Florida, they bailed Alabama out. Otherwise, I think there was a chance that South Florida would have won that game. Similarly, it was a close game in the first half against South Florida. South Florida gave them a hell of a game, but then they turned on the afterburners and just blasted them in the second half and just ran away with it. And Cam Ward is, to me, he should be the favorite for the Heisman right now. I think he's that good. I think he's the best quarterback in the game right now. And I think Miami, I'm shocked to say this because I was getting on Phil Baker and guys like that at the station and their opinion about Miami. And because we do this game every single year, don't we? Don't we kind of do this with Miami? They always have like a top 5, top 10 recruiting class. And the next thing you know, they fall off the face of the earth. Right. And like last year, they were solid. And then Louisville beat them. And then they kind of had a little bit of a slide after that.
Yeah.
This is
shock
me though. I feel like
it wouldn't shock me if it happened again. I'm not saying it will, but it would not shock me if Miami, like, they've got the hype right now, but it would not shock me if they kind of fell, if the bottom fell out.
Just with how explosive that offense is, though, that's what I worry about as a Louisville fan. Just because the way my faith in my defense is a little bit shaky right now, and if they come out there and play like they did against South Florida, against these obviously a lot of crap bums, but if they come out there and do that to Louisville, I'm worried about that bend don't break defense. And I think so. Like right now, if we're gonna do the ACC rankings of like where I place teams, I'm giving Miami the number 1 spot right now. I'm probably gonna put Clemson second. I'm gonna put Louisville third. I need to see.
How does that change if U of L beats Notre Dame? Let's say U of L beats Notre Dame by 7.
Okay, I'll be honest. If it's a close game, and they just beat them by like 7, I think I probably still put them probably about the same spot. Well, if they come out,
that's crazy.
I'm being real because I don't believe in Notre Dame. I just don't. I don't believe that they're. I don't believe they're top.
You would have the best win between Notre Dame or between Clemson and Miami. Like you would have the signature win.
Again, this is me being. I am a pessimist as a fan. I am a negative U of L fan. People don't love it. People don't like it. They like to get on me because I'm not just going to say we're great. We're always going to be great. We're going to be awesome. We're going to win the goddamn championship every year. That's just not going to be me. That's just not me. I'm more of a pessimist. I'm a pessimist, and I like to be surprised.
Read your tweets. You're like, oh, you're telling me they're just not gonna let them score,
and they did, and they didn't. But I know. We know. I think here's the 2 facets to this. The reason I'm putting him third. Clemson beat him once. Beat him. Beat Clemson one time.
The brakes off of them.
Yeah,
the brakes off of them.
And it's unfortunate that Louisville didn't play him last year because I think they would have beat him. But again, Clemson this year beat them, and then I'll be comfortable in the future putting Louisville ahead of them. But until they beat them, I'm not going to do it. But Miami is the one team that I've watched that I look at. Similarly, I still think Tennessee and Texas are the 2 best teams in the country right now. Those are my top 2. We'll see. Maybe Lane Kiffin can change my mind depending on how they play this week. Georgia, I would like to see them. Wait, when do they play Texas? Is it next week? They play Texas next week, or is it the week after? I know that's a big matchup that's coming up. I think,
When does who play Texas?
Georgia, Texas. I think is that next week?
Is it? Let me check.
Because that's a hell of a game, and that to me will tell me a lot about who the best team in the nation is.
Is it not? Texas has Mississippi State. So
Damn it.
no.
So it's a couple
They
weeks
play.
away.
They've got Mississippi State and then Oklahoma and then Georgia.
Oh,
so you got to.
Georgia, Texas is the same week as Louisville, Miami. Because that's where people were like, "Oh, Louisville, Miami could potentially be SEC game day." No, or not. It's SEC.
It's Georgia,
Game
Alabama.
day.
Georgia, Alabama next week.
That's who it is. Okay, that'll tell me a lot too. That'll tell me a
will.
lot.
That'll tell us a lot. Because I would not rule out Alabama. I would not. I mean, I know Alabama's not the Alabama they were under Saban, but I still would not rule them out of this game. I think they're still a very good team.
No, sorry, Clay's back saying it's not you, bro. All good. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. I don't know.
Don't worry about it. He's just in here having a good time. We appreciate Clay.
Bubba Nero, U of L wouldn't jump Miami because they have Cam Ward, who's a Heisman frontrunner. Would guarantee U of L Miami it's game day if both win. It won't though. It just won't. Because like I just said, unfortunately, I thought that too, and I can't wait. Unfortunately, I'm going to be on vacation that week, so I'm going to be out of town. So I don't think we'll even be able to do this on that Sunday. But unless we figure, maybe I'll be back Sunday. I don't know. But Miami, Louisville will be playing the same day as Texas, Georgia. Unless one of those teams falls apart, it's just not going to happen. Even if Louisville and Miami went out, I'm sorry, you're not going to sell Louisville, Miami over Texas and Georgia.
I would not put money on Cam Ward winning the Heisman. Personally, I don't think it's going to continue at this trajectory. If you're looking for someone with good value, Heisman, take Nico, Tennessee. I think he's my guy to win Heisman.
Okay, I like that one as well. I like that one. I like it. I've also gotten to watch a lot more Cam Ward. Obviously, because the ACC, I keep a closer eye on that than I do. But Tennessee's been fun to watch. Jared Disney said that's not being a pessimistic fan, that's being an honest fan, and I respect that. Thank you. I appreciate it. There's a lot of people that just want you to blow smoke up their ass and tell them how great your team is.
That's a good burner account name, Justin. Jared Disney.
Disney.
Justin's burner account. We figured it out.
Disney, you woke? You just said like 10 times that's just not you. Shut the fuck up, Clay. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, it's killing me. So overall, like I said, I put Miami, Clemson, Louisville until they prove me different later this year.
And so apparently Notre Dame beating Notre Dame would not do that for you.
I think I just don't respect Notre Dame. I'm sorry. I just don't. I just don't respect them.
Fair enough.
I don't. We'll get to Miami at
you
home.
walk in the park then. So basically, it's gonna be a walk in the park on Saturday.
Yeah. No, no, I'm not. No, sorry. I'm distracted by the comments. Okay. No, it's not going to be a walk in the park. I think it's still going to be difficult, but I don't respect them. I don't respect them at the level of what I think Miami is this year. This year, I think Miami's a really good team. Bubba Nero, U of L gets Miami at home off their bye. Gets Clemson on the road off their bye. With BC in between, going to be a hard thing. God, BC looked good too. Beating who the hell they beat?
Really good.
Who the hell they beat? Help me out. Why am I always blanking every freaking time when I get on here. I turn the camera on and I forget every freaking game that I just watched yesterday. Somebody in the chat's gonna say that's just not him, Dwight. It's not him.
They beat Michigan State, but it was actually close. It was actually close, but yeah, they beat Michigan State.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes next week. I mean, again, it seems like you're disrespecting the Irish. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll be here next week to go over. I mean, you say you're a pessimistic U of L fan, but it sounds like you're already checking the box on this week.
It might be. Maybe I am. Maybe I'll get crushed next week. Anyway, guys, do me a favor. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe. Go over there real quick. Last little bit. Just want to wrap this thing up with a nice little bow. Move a little bit outside of the sports realm and talk about just a current event that's been out there. Your favorite rapper growing up. I know you talked a lot about him. You wore a lot of Sean John back in the day in high school at Shelby County.
Every step I take.
Exactly.
It was a banger.
And he probably had him killed off. Anyway, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy in the news lately. For I don't even know how to put this. Freak offs.
A lot of things. A lot of things.
Parties. There have been a lot of rumors over the years, parties and stuff that have happened. I know a lot of people have talked about it a lot on the radio already, but like, I'm just sitting here, and I feel like this is going to be another one of those things that just kind of like it drifts off. So the story needs to be kept alive.
I don't think it's going anywhere. The memes, the Twitter memes, they're not going away.
Okay, So just, I guess the best way to do it is just kind of like, you think reading what I sent you over, reading some excerpts from that will kind of help give like the background while we can get into it. Reason that Sean Combs is being arrested by Homeland Security, no less. But yeah, Clay.
Yeah, put that up there. It's true.
Thank you. Or you love Diddy. Yeah, either hit that subscribe or you love Diddy. From at least on or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs, I'm not going to read all of his nicknames again, and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization, the Combs Enterprise, or Enterprise. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs Enterprise, including leadership and members and associates, constituted an enterprise. Okay, we're not going to read all the titles and whatever, all that crap. But here's the part that is fascinating, I guess is the word to put. Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise wielded a power and prestiges of Combs' roles at his business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under, and not just, they ain't just female. They ain't just female. But anyway,
well, the men were paid, right? Like they were workers. They were professionals.
They were male prostitutes. But yeah, they were pro. Okay, but there's other rumors too. Under the pretense of, it's not even a rumor, honestly, I think it's proven now, of a romantic relationship, Combs enforced threats of force and coercion to cause victims to engage and extend sex acts with male commercial workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, the M word, baited. I don't feel comfortable reading that. I don't feel like reading that because I don't want that being, I'm not going to take it out of context. And often electronically recorded.
Do you know what made me feel super safe about this?
What?
Because there was an excerpt that said that these freak-offs would sometimes be days long. Mm-hmm. Like they would let me go free. Like they'd be like, this dude, he can't last this long all day. Like they would just open the door and kick me out. So I feel very safe in my own skin right now.
So, but one of the best parts though is, not best. I'm sorry. This is all terrible. This is all horrible. But awful. Okay, members and associates, including high-ranking supervisors, staff, whatever, facilitated the freak-offs, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-off. So at least they cleaned it up. At least they took care of their business, didn't leave it to Consuela to take care of. To mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial sex workers, whatever, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during the searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Combs subjected victims to physical. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Well, if you've seen the pictures of it, like he had a display, like he had his baby oil and lube displayed as like I would my bourbon collection. Like I had, like when you go into my house, like in the basement, like I have my bourbon collection, like behind some glass, like make it look good. He had that with his baby oil and his lube. It was like this is my fall batch.
Yeah.
Of my 2022 fall batch, 17-year-old baby oil. It was weird. It was weird. Beyond weird.
I can't believe I'm saying this in a recorded setting, but not just that, but there are also 784 reports, and this could be fake reporting. I think it's real though. Dildos.
It's real.
784 of them. So afterwards, he and victims received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use during these acts. The reason we bring this up, and I see you Daddy Wags complaining about this move on. No, we're not moving on. The reason we do this is we like to have a little bit of a dude debate discussion. I don't know if it's a debate in the circumstance, but it's a discussion. So I don't know.
The question is, does this help or hurt Drake? That's the we need play to weigh in. Does this make him look better or worse?
But one of my biggest problems, well, not biggest problems, there's a lot of problems I have with it, is I think, have you heard the rumors? Like, there's this stuff, but it seems like this is like widespread through Hollywood. Like, it's like, this is not.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
Like, it's like everything. There's rumors of like people and like everybody who has been successful has participated in something of this sort. Not just like, no, like,
I
it's
wouldn't
wild.
say that. I would not say
like,
that.
Like, there's like at least
Tom Hanks is not into this. I'm sorry.
I don't know. You refuse to believe that Tom Hanks has done this?
Yeah, I don't believe Tom Hanks has gotten freak
If they
off.
played You Got a Friend in Me,
freak off kind of guy.
Man,
but what I will say though is like this does make me feel, coming from someone who is not like of that tier of wealth, it makes me feel better because it seems like if once you reach a certain tier of wealth, you just
really
like get bored. You get bored with like reality. Like look at the what was the people that went in the submarine? Like it's just like they just have so much money. They're like, well, let me just try to like do something completely stupid. Mm-hmm. Or like, you know what I mean? Like Puff Daddy, he's like, I can't have a normal relationship. I can't just like live my life. I have to do something bizarrely stupid.
Yeah.
And so it makes me feel a little bit better that I'm like, you know what? I'm happy with where I'm at because I don't have the means to even like facilitate a freak off. And that's fine.
I've also heard like I use the term rumors, but like there's multiple reports of this, like that this is a regular thing, like in LA. Like you go to a party and they take you into a back room, and like for people that are like up and coming, like I mean, look at Weinstein, the stuff that happened with him and all that, where it's like they make you. A lot of the stuff is like almost. I hate to go like over the edge of like it's Satanist a little bit. Like sometimes like they ask you to renounce like your religion and your faith and all that. And then following that, they take you into another room where there are like cameras and stuff is done. Stuff happens. You can use your imagination what happens in there. And they record it. And they have documentation to always use against you, like Diddy had in the circumstance where to coerce you into doing other things because I can just release this. Like one of the biggest rumors out there was Meek Mill, right? Like that was like a well-known one of Diddy, of like Diddy in him. Like I don't know what else to say in that moment.
Yeah.
So I bring this to you, and we'll keep this short. Is there ever a moment in your life, or would there ever be anything that anybody could ever give you that you would go through a freak off to be given, to reach a level of success? Okay, like one thing I would ask James Strebel with his show, now that he's become a pretty successful UK host here in the realm. If you could reach Matt Jones, not of who he is, not
Matt
how he
Jones?
does.
That's your Matt Jones?
No, listen.
That's your like epitome of success is Matt Jones?
No, but okay, listen. Not of him is, when I say his success, I mean, I'm talking about like the following that KSR has is massive. For, you know what I mean? Like compared to most sports hosts.
You know how many people out there you could have said like Brad Pitt, like Elon Musk, but no. I'm using it in the sports realm for Strebel. I'm using it in the sports realm. No, I don't think I would do a freak off to become Matt Jones. I'm sorry.
To have the success and the access at that level, where okay, that's okay.
About? Matt Jones?
Okay. Oh, not Matt. I'm not trying to use Matt Jones, but I'm using the.
You're the one that said Matt Jones.
Okay, Matty Bangs.
I just think that it's funny that you look, and now I know that Justin views Matt Jones as like the pinnacle of success.
That's fair. I view it when it comes to the Kentucky side because I don't know enough Kentucky side to say. Okay, you could be with the Crafts. You could have Kraft money. I don't know. What do you want? Like I don't know who else. Who else
would I do a freak off? Is that what you're asking? If I could be a Kraft?
Is there any level of success in any form or fashion in your life that could be high enough that you would say, sure, one time, get it over with, get it done. I freaked off, and now I get to live. Now I get to enjoy this. Now I get to live.
Is it recorded?
It's probably
is there record of it?
It's probably going to be kept.
No, I'm not going to.
They'll keep it secret.
No.
Okay. So if it's
not
recorded,
they would hold it over my head.
Okay. They don't record it. It just has to happen. They don't record it.
Okay. So there's no record of it. There's no record of me in a freak off.
Wavery is correct though. Blackmail is the most important part.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole key. Yeah. So if you're telling me there's a recording, then no, I would never do that. But like if you're saying,
but now
go have one crazy adventure, and no one remembers. Everyone forgets. Haha. What? That's funny. That never happened. Yeah, I'll be Robert Kraft for a freak off. Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
So I just want to know that. Okay.
Plus, like I said, my freak off's not going to last that long. I'm not going to need IVs. My freak off is going to be like short and sweet, so it's going to be great.
That's true.
What about you? All right, let's flip it. What about you? Would you do a freak off on Matt Jones? You could
not
become
to be Matt Jones.
Freaking Jones.
I use it for streamable. I there is a large following for that. Like is that the biggest following in like college sports? Would you say? Is there a bigger following?
I would say there has to be.
I mean, outside of ESPN with every fan base, I'm talking about like for a fan base. Is there a bigger following than like BBN?
I don't know. I don't know, but I just don't. View
okay,
Matt
Nero, that's fine. Okay,
I've met Matt Jones. He's fine. He's a nice enough guy. Like no problem with him. But
no,
like I don't view him. I don't view him as like that's not the goal. Like that.
Okay. Let it go. I get it. I said that. I just thought I thought he had a pretty big following.
Yeah,
Anthony said, we know. Yeah, okay, first of all, how are you going to spell? Sofaro is right here on the screen, my guy, and you can't spell Sofaro correctly. You can't do me the respect.
You misspelled people's name in the emails. Like the name is right there in the email.
Sofaro would sell his manhood.
Yeah. I know we're getting a little late into the night, but I do have to because I am an attorney.
Okay.
And just so everyone knows, like I'm a very
I'm a very successful. I have many leather-bound books. Yeah.
You see these diplomas. Anyways, I do love a good lawyer quote, and I think P. Diddy's lawyer had one of the best quotes that I've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Is it sex?" He goes, "Is it sex trafficking? Not if everybody wants to be there." That is lawyering right there. That is it. His whole case is going to be based on, yeah, they freaked off, yeah, they did drugs, but guess what? They wanted to, and I love that. I love that when a lawyer just speaks to the people in their language. You go, is it sex trafficking? Not if you like it. Not if you liked it.
My God,
that's the best. The best. That's a real quote. That sounds like something off like SNL or something.
Yeah, it's the bird law guy. It's
you
had me discussing it. There you go.
Yeah,
that's wild. That's wild to me. And there's people out there that I'm not saying that there's probably something. If you're going to tell me that I could easy street it, like if I could just easy street it to success, yeah, I do it.
Would you do it if there's a recording? It never comes out, but the people that have it are always going to be like, "Oh, I got it." You don't want to do this broadcast today? Guess what? You got to jump on KSR, Matt Jones. I got this recording. I'm going to release it if you don't do it.
I'll be honest. Here's the thing. The one thing I won't do is forsake my faith. Let's say that first. And now I'm gonna say the second half.
What does that mean? Like that sounds like a no.
That's like a well-known part of that. It's one of those things where it's like you have to worship Satan or something like that. Is like what it is. It's kind of that's like a part of it, but it didn't seem like it was a part of it with Diddy. It may have been. I don't know. But when it comes to just there's a footage, I don't know that I'm like a man that like if it exists, it's not going to be released. I don't know if I care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done enough stupid shit in my lifetime. You can account for it. You can just say yes. You don't have to say what they were. But like, I've done enough stupid shit. What's one more? What's one more thing?
You're one freak off away from being Matt Jones. Like,
I'm one freak. I could be. Well. I'm coming for you, Rough Dick. I'm coming for you, Mike. Mike Rutherford. I'm coming for you. That's what I'm saying. No.
But yeah, it was. It's definitely a wild event. We'll see how it all shakes out. But we've got a lot.
Yep.
We're gonna have a lot to talk about next week because we've got both of us have some big games.
Yep.
And we're gonna have a lot to break down. And I feel like we're gonna have a very good sense of where each team is after next week. If there are any questions, they will be answered next week.
Absolutely. The first big massive week for both fan bases. Obviously, y'all had the Georgia game, but now it's a massive week of football, and it only gets better from here on out. UK's gonna have multiple weeks of this. They still got to play Texas. Still got to play. Who else they got on their schedule? There's somebody else I know. They have like four top teams, right?
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. They've got a lot. Florida's obviously not great. They've got Vandy.
Yeah. Well, Vandy now looks confident. So
they've looked extremely confident. They should have beat Missouri. They really botched that game.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're gonna know. They got obviously Tennessee, Texas, Louisville. Those are the best teams left. Ole Miss. It's gonna be a tough few weeks.
Yeah. Well, we got a work week ahead of us, so we got to get to bed. But thank you guys so much for, again, tuning in, talking sports, talking a little ditty at the end of the night with my guy Dwight. If you haven't already, do me a solid favor. First of all, let's just go over to the Twitter account. Go over to Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Justin Sofro. You can follow him at DDYoung2, even though it's locked, so I don't know if he's going to accept it.
Follow me. Follow me. I got you.
You can follow him. He's got to protect himself. So you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow ESPN Louisville at ESPN Louisville, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, all the different places. You're going to find us. We're going to be there on everything. Do me a favor, though. The biggest thing I'm asking you guys, if you're watching this later, if you're watching it now and you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, because we're streaming on everything, we're adding more content on the YouTube channel that you're only going to get there. Do me a favor. Go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit the like button on this video, do all those things now, and that'll be a big help down the road, and we'll give you a lot more content each and every day. Hopefully that'll be the last time that happens while I'm streaming again. But anyway, guys, that'll do it. Make sure you tune in Friday for the next edition of the Roundtable Presents College Football Friday. James Strebel, Max Godby, maybe Justin Jeffries. I don't know if they're going to have a guest on or whatever. We'll be there live Friday at 6. And, of course, we do this every Sunday at 9 p.m. Dwight, any final words?
No final words, but if you do have a bourbon that you would like me to review or to bring out, let me know. So hopefully you guys aren't super bored with this, but I enjoy it, and it gives me something to sip on while we talk. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I love it. We'll have to figure out a way to incorporate that a little bit more down the line as well. So we'll see you guys next time. Go Cards. You want to give them Go Cats? Yeah, there you go.